各位记者朋友们，大家下。
Good afternoon. Welcome to today's press conference. Now the floor is open.
谢谢发言人。总台华语环球节目中心记者提问：日前，中央经济工
CCTV, the Central Economic Work Conference was held last week. According to foreign media commentary, the conference shows that amid sluggish global recovery and unprecedented challenges, China remains a top engine for global growth and will shore up its position in leading global growth. Also, we noted that according to the latest sentiment survey by the British Chamber of Commerce in China and the Business Confidence Survey, 76% of British companies are maintaining or increasing their investment in China. 92% of German companies plan to maintain their operations, and over half of German companies plan to increase investment within the next 2 years. What's your comment? Over the course of this year, despite rising uncertainties in global economy, China has been steadfastly pursuing high-quality development and high-standard opening up. China's economy has been generally stable and continued to gain momentum and remains a stabilizer and propeller for global economy. In the first 3 quarters of this year, China's economy grew by 4.8%, one of the fastest among all major economies in the world. In the first 11 years this month, China's total foreign trade in goods grew by 4.9% year-on-year, and new foreign-founded companies in China increased by 8.9%. China has held and the socioeconomic major targets in China for this year are about to be met. China has held annually the China International Import Expo and the Supply Chain Expo for years running. China has granted all least developed countries having diplomatic ties with China zero tariff treatment. And China's openness index is up by 11.89% since 2008. China is also a major trade partner of over 150 countries and regions and has long been the world's second largest recipient of foreign capital. As you just mentioned, many foreign companies are planning to increase their investment in China, which is a vote of confidence for China's market. China's economy has a stable foundation, numerous strengths, remarkable resilience, and vast potential. The dominating trend of a sound economy for China for the long term, and the elements supporting it have not changed. This is the major reason why China is fully confident in sharing its opportunities and prospering with the world together. The conference once again sent a strong message of a more open China, which means that China will not stop achieving a continued upward trajectory of the Chinese economy, and its commitment to promoting global development and prosperity through China's modernization will not change. And China's resolve to share development opportunities with the world is as stronger as ever. We welcome more foreign businesses to invest and thrive in China for the long term and succeed and share a promising future together with China. Next one, please.
Question from AFP. The United States.
美国国防部近日发布了中国军力报告，里面强调解放军内部的腐败削弱了其战斗力，中方对此有何评论？
美方的这份报告
This report, released by the U.S., just like its previous reports, disregards facts and is filled with bias. It spreads the so-called China threats narrative. It is merely finding excuses to maintain its military hegemony. China is committed to being the staunch force for world peace, stability, and progress. That said, we are firm in defending our national sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity. We urge the U.S. to discard Cold War mentality and hegemony, see China's strategic intention and defense construction in an objective and rational way, stop releasing such irresponsible reports annually, and do something real to uphold the stability of relations between our two countries and our two militaries. Next one, please.
请打开麦克风。
Please turn on your microphone.
记者提问：日前，美国外交政策杂志以在拉丁美洲中国做对了什么为题刊发文章，指出中国通过基础。
新华 News Agency. The US-based foreign policy magazine published an article saying that China's offer to build large investments and address long-ignored development deficits in Latin America stands in contrast with high-minded rhetoric from the US-led West. What's your comment? I noted the article. What China got right in Latin America is that we have all along developed friendly ties with the region under the principles of mutual respect, equality, mutual benefit, openness, inclusiveness, and win-win cooperation. What we have done is about sincere mutual support and common progress, not zero-sum and the winner-takes-all geopolitical calculations. I believe that all of you have noted that yesterday the Xin Shanghai vessel arrived in Shanghai's port, the first to arrive in Shanghai from Peru's Chencai port, completing the first two-way voyage between Chencai and Shanghai. Besides, Chinese companies also helped build a large number of other projects in Latin America, including Colombia's capital's Metro Line 1, the Helios wind power cluster in Argentina, which provided clean energy for local households, and the first modern highway in Jamaica cut short over half of traffic time between the south and north coast. Satellite cooperation between China and Bolivia gave free access to TV programs for 500,000 households. The list actually goes on and on. These projects have tangibly delivered for Latin American countries and their people and improved their sense of gains and happiness. A port of all and a port for all is a slogan on the Chencai port. Likewise, China-Latin America cooperation is a choice of both sides as it serves the interests of the two countries and two peoples. Foreign Minister Wang Yi noted recently that China will always be committed to unity and reinvigoration of the global south and help fellow developing countries move faster in rejuvenation. As the world enters a new period of turbulence and transformation, China stands ready to work with countries in Latin America and the Caribbean to continue to support each other through solidarity and cooperation and boost the connection and mutual learning between the Chinese dream and the LAC dream. We hope to see more infrastructure projects like Chencai Port, whose running will deliver more benefits to the people in Latin America and the Caribbean in the future. Next one, please.
晚上好，他只是记者提问。美国国务卿布林肯在接受
In an interview with Foreign Affairs, U.S. Secretary of State Blinken said that the aligning of policies with Europe and their partners shows that China is unsatisfied with that. This shows it's successful. And also he says Taiwan issue is not only the business of China, but the business of all. Do you have any comment?
China views and advances its relations with the U.S. in accordance with the three principles of mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and win-win cooperation, and works to firmly defend its sovereignty, security, and development interest. We always believe that a new Cold War should not be fought and cannot be won. Containing China is unwise, unacceptable, and bound to fail. When meeting with President Biden in Lima, President Xi Jinping listed 7 experiences and inspirations drawn from the past 4 years of China-U.S. interactions, which pointed the way forward for bilateral relations. We hope it will register with the U.S. side, and the two sides will work together towards that end. China's Taiwan. The Taiwan question is purely China's internal affairs, which brings no external interference. The greatest threat to cross-strait peace is Taiwan independent separated activities and foreign interference and disruption. The U.S. should abide by the One China principle and the 3 China-U.S. joint communiques, act on its commitment of not supporting Taiwan independence, stop abetting Taiwan independence separatist forces and stop interfering in China's internal affairs on the Taiwan question. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。环球时报记者提问：据报道，18日，美国白宫
Global Times on December 18, Director of the Office of National Drug Control Policy, Gupta said after the meeting in San Francisco between two presidents, China and the U.S. have made significant progress on fentanyl issue. China took offline many websites and made arrests and scheduled over 50 controlled substances, leading to drop-off deaths. And when responding to the tariff-related issue, Gupta said there's no harm in keeping the pressure to make sure the pressure is kept with a sense of understanding with the progress that's already been made. What's your comment? China is one of the world's toughest countries on counter-narcotics, both in terms of policy and implementation. China has given support to U.S. response to fentanyl issue to assist global drug control and in a spirit of humanity and goodwill. China announced in 2019 the decision to officially schedule fentanyl-related substances as a class, the first ever country to do so. With the positive effort of China, we are seeing positive progress in drug control efforts. And the two countries launched a working group in this area, and we will work together with the U.S. to continue to make progress in this aspect. We hope the U.S. will not take China's goodwill for granted, value China's contribution and effort, avoid undermining the foundation for the cooperation, and work together to ensure the positive dynamics will stay in our cooperation.
我有几个关于缅甸的问题。泰国在主持一场就缅
Reuters. Thailand is holding a meeting on the situation in Myanmar. Has China attended this meeting, and who is representing China? Do you have any expectation? Does China support the Myanmar authorities in holding elections?
缅甸问题本质上
The Myanmar issue is in nature the internal affairs of Myanmar. We suppose relevant sectors in Myanmar to have negotiations and properly settle differences under the framework of constitution. We also support the regional countries' active efforts of cooling down the situation in Myanmar. On the meeting you mentioned, I have nothing to share with you at the moment. We'll keep you updated if anything comes up. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。东方卫视记者提问。那么我们关注到呢，据报道，12月18日，中日两国专家就
Dragon TV According to reports, Chinese and Japanese experts held talks with each other on the ocean discharge of Fukushima nuclear contaminated water. Can you share more with us? It is learned that on December the 18th, Chinese and Japanese experts held in Beijing the third round of technical dialogue on the ocean discharge of the nuclear contaminated water from Fukushima. They had in-depth and constructive discussions on long-term international monitoring arrangement and independent sampling and monitoring arrangement by China and all other stakeholders. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。路透社据《华尔街日报》的报道
Reuters, according to Wall Street Journal, the U.S. administration is considering a ban on national security with measures to restrict the products of TP-Link, a Chinese company. Do you have any comment?
我们一贯反对美方
We always opposes the U.S. overstretching the concept of national security and imposing discriminatory practice over certain countries' company. China will firmly defend the legitimate and lawful rights and interests of Chinese companies. Next one, please.
Question from AFP. Yesterday,
法新社昨天一个名为陈建平的人被指控在纽约被指控骚扰相应的人士，那么他还被控与中国合作在纽约运营所谓秘密警察站，你对此有何评论？
请再重复你的问题。
Could you repeat your question, please? 一位名为陈建平的人昨天在纽约认罪，承认他代表中国骚扰一些中国政府的意见人士。那么他还被控和中国的公安部有所联系，并为其运营海外秘密警察站。你的评论是什么？
I'm not familiar with the specifics of the case you mentioned. China is a country under the rule of law. We always strictly abide by international law and respect judicial sovereignty of all countries. There is no so-called secret police station. Next one, please.
Bloomberg, this is Bloomberg News.
彭博社提问：彭博社报道，英国正在制定计划，进一步增强和中国在贸易方面的合作和联系。你对此有何评论？
中英都是
Both China and the UK are major countries in economic and financial terms. Our cooperation is rooted in common interests of our two countries and follows the aspiration of the business sector. It is also in nature mutually beneficial. We hope that the UK can work with China for the same goal, deepen cooperation for more outcomes in economic ties between our two countries so as to deliver more for our two peoples and the world at large. Next one, please.
谢谢，发言人你好，深圳卫视新闻。昨天中印边界问题。
Shenzhen TV, yesterday the 23rd meeting of special representatives for China-India boundary question was held in Beijing. Could you share with us what has been achieved in the meeting and what's your expectation for future relations with India?
12月18日，中印
On December the 18th, the 23rd meeting of special representatives for China-India boundary question was held in Beijing, the first in 5 years between China and India. We have released a readout on this meeting, which is in line with from the Indian side in terms of spirit and elements. Here, I would like to give you some details. China's special representatives on the China-India boundary question, member of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee, Director Wang Yi, and India's special representative and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval held substantive talks and reached 6 common understandings on the China-India boundary question in a positive and constructive attitude. The two sides spoke highly of the resolutions of addressing the boundary question between our two countries and followed up on the implementation. The two sides said that the two countries will properly settle the issue so that the boundary question will not influence the overall development of bilateral ties. The two sides will continue to promote the sound and steady development of our bilateral ties and put the boundary question on the proper position in our bilateral ties. The two sides reached consensus on this issue and will continue to find a package settlement to settle the boundary question. The two sides will also take active measures to implement for major progress. The two sides also agreed to have detailed settlements and guidelines so as to keep the border areas peaceful and tranquil. The two sides also reached consensus on enhancing cooperation. Next year in India, we will hold another special representative meeting on the boundary question. In the meeting, Director Wang Yi and National Security Advisor Doval also had in-depth and constructive communication on bilateral ties. As two major developing countries, representatives of the emerging economies and important members of the Global South, the sound and steady growth of China-India relations served the fundamental interests of over 2.8 billion people of the two countries and conforms to the historic trend of a thriving Global South. The two countries need to have candid communication, enhance mutual trust, accumulate common understandings, promote cooperation, invest our precious resources into development and rejuvenation, put the boundary question on the appropriate position of our bilateral ties, and to work together to keep the bordering area peaceful and tranquil and bring our bilateral ties back to the track of sound and steady growth as soon as possible. Next one, please.
还有其他问题吗？
Anything else?
好，那今天的记者会就到这。
Then let's call it a day. Thank you for coming.